pala siya naka-record. That in one of the videos that I showed you, it also showed you na because of the differences in the metric and the English system, there uh, arose no some very big uh, problems. No, and so it's important that we know about these different systems of measurement so that when you encounter them, no, you know what to do to convert it from one unit to another, from one system of measurement to another. And we also talked about the history of the avoidable system and the apothecary system. No, as you can see, as you have seen from last week, the apothecary system actually came out from the Roman system of measurement. Okay, that's why the units that are used in the apothecary system are almost the same, no, as the ancient Roman units like scripula, the drachma, and the libra. Okay, plus even the uncia, and we also talked about the origins of the avoidable system. And so, because of the desire to delineate how you would actually buy cheaper materials from selling goods which are more expensive, okay, the avoidable system came out. Okay, and so yun yung topics that we were able to discuss last week. Ayan. I know that we were not able to have our breakout sessions last week. And so we will be answering the following practice problems um, and practice problems today. Okay. And so probably we won't be having breakout sessions anymore. And kasi baka hindi rin siya conducive for you, no? Especially now that it's raining and at least in many parts of Luzon and baka hindi rin kayo mag-participate, no, sa inyong group mates. Okay? And so we'll just answer each of these problems ayan, as we go through them one by one. Okay? And so I will also be asking some of you some questions. And so please pay attention and for our class participation. Okay? And so let's begin with the first problem. And so recall in our discussion, I mentioned that during the ancient times, the the balances or the scales, okay, look like your fish scale. Okay, naalala niyo yung ginagamit kapag nagbebenta ng ng isda, no? Ayan, so it looks like the fish scale. And so to be able to determine the weight of a particular substance or material, a person needs to put weights. Okay, these are either stones or coins with standardized masses or weights. Okay, yeah. So they put weights on one pan and they try to balance it out with the substance that is placed on the other pan. Okay, and so that's why nga, the most common symbol for equality, okay, is the scale. Okay, and so yung mayroong dalawang pan, no, the scale, and even the lady justice, okay, is holding a scale because dapat daw there is justice and equality for all, not just for the rich. Okay, but we know that even in the ancient times, and only the rich are able to buy certain commodities. Okay, and if you listen closely to the videos, the monarchies used to control the standardization of certain weights. Okay, that's why it's kaya nga the origin of the metric system is very interesting because it is actually a system of measurement that arose from scientific thinking. Okay, and from it came out because people wanted to have scientific basis on how they measured things or even time. Okay, and okay, noted. Yeah. And yeah, I guess that's also another problem now, no? Because it is raining in many parts of Luzon. Ayan, kasi nga nanood ako ng kay Kuya Kim last night, no? The the typhoon. The typhoon will still be with us until tomorrow, Thursday. And so expect some rains, no? Throughout the day today and tomorrow. Ayan. Maybe tomorrow ng madaling araw, medyo wala na daw, no? Ayan. Kaya if you get disconnected and you would like a copy of the lessons, ayan, so feel free to message me and I will be sending you the link to the video, okay, of today's lesson. And of course, as a class, no, feel free to forward it to anyone as well, no? Ayan. So I wouldn't actually mind, no, if you would distribute it to your other classmates who would actually need it, okay? Ayan. So going back to what I was saying, remember that that's how people used to weigh things. Now, um, in the same context, okay, people used to measure liquids, okay, using different graduates, okay. I mentioned this before that the graduates that they used were calibrated differently, okay. Ayan. So just to give you an idea, okay, for example, in your laboratory, I know that you have already discussed the different glassware. And let me just move my image, ayan, there in the middle. Ayan. Okay, I am looking at myself, no? Ayan, so, ayan, ayan. So whenever I look on the side, ayan, it's because I am looking at the panel where I am talking, no? Ayan. So I always want to look at myself. I am, narcissistic. Okay, so I just moved it in front of me so that I will be appearing to look doon sa webcam, no? Ayan, because I am not really I'm not really familiar with dito sa paraan na tumitingin ako sa webcam. Okay, so I'll just look at myself. Okay, so I think in your laboratory you already have this discussion hold on the different glassware you were you need to be familiar with the different glassware that you will be using in the laboratory. Okay, so I know that you are already familiar with some of the glassware that we have in the laboratory, and hopefully you will be able to hold these, no, and use them um, when restrictions of mobility will be eventually reduced. No, we are more than 200 days into the lockdown, and so the beakers. Okay, let's talk about the beakers. Beakers have different sizes. Okay, so there are beakers with a maximum capacity of 50 milliliters. There are also beakers with a maximum capacity of 80 milliliters, and there are also beakers with maximum capacity of 100, 150, 250, 500, 1 liter, and so on and so forth. No? In our laboratory, we actually have beakers na as large as 2 liters. Okay? Now, we know that beakers are not supposed to be used to measure, but only to contain liquids. Okay? But take note that these beakers also have graduations. Okay, these graduations are used to approximate the volume that you will be putting in these beakers. Okay, but these are not supposed to be used to measure the liquid. No, because if you would like to measure liquids, what you will be using is a graduated cylinder. Okay. Now, the different sizes of beakers have different maximum capacities. Okay. Now, in in older periods, okay, people used to have. Okay, that's noted. Thank you for that. Okay. So people used to measure liquids using different graduates. Okay. So yung graduates na to, these are calibrated differently. Okay. So for example, a conical graduate could be calibrated with units of fluid grams, and there are graduates which may be calibrated in units of fluid ounces. Okay. And there are also containers which are calibrated in pints, no? And so on and so forth. Okay? Ayan. So, what am I talking about, no? Yan. So sometimes you may need two or even more graduates or containers to be able to measure the volume of a liquid. Okay. Now let's say in the conical graduate, calibrated in fluid grams. Okay, you will find that it is divided or graduated in 8 divisions. Ayan. Kasi 8 fluid grams are already equivalent to a fluid ounce. Okay? So you will need to use a different conical graduate if the liquid has a volume that is greater than a fluid ounce. Okay? Now the fluid ounce will graduate will be calibrated in 16 divisions. Ayan, or it will have graduations with 16 divisions. Yan, kasi 16 fluid ounces are already equivalent to a pint, no? Yan, similar to your beaker. Okay, so yung beaker ninyo na hanggang 50 ml lang, ayan, so makikita ninyo yung graduation niya ay pwedeng 25, 50, yun lang. Okay? You can no longer measure more than 50 ml of the liquid. Okay? So you need to use a 100 ml beaker. Okay? So let's say in a 100 ml beaker, meron kang 5 divisions, 20, 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. Okay? So yun yung 5 divisions in the 100 ml beaker. Okay? So parang ganun din, no? Yung idea, when you make use of older conical graduates, which are calibrated in fluid grams or fluid ounces. Okay? So with that introduction, we can now proceed to the problem. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, the measurement that you see here with two denominations, okay, meron kang fluid ounces and fluid grams. Both of these are referring to the same volume of the liquid. Okay, so iisa lang talaga yung tinutukoy nila. Okay, ayan, and you are asked to determine or to convert this measurement to fluid grams, no, to a singular denomination. Ayan. So itong dalawang ito ay iisa lang talagang volume. Okay? So this refers only to one volume and you need to reduce that volume to fluid grams. No? So how do we do this? And so anyone who would like to sa tagal ba naman na naka-flash yung slide, no? Anyone who would like to um, um, share, no, their thoughts, no, kung how would you compute the number of fluid grams? Yes, Miss Gerfasio. And so nauna si Miss Mayjoy Gerfasio. You can use your microphone if you have a tablet with you and you can annotate on the slide, you may do so.
Sir, try ko lang po.
Okay, sure.
Thank you po. Okay na po.
Okay, so thank you so much for that answer, Miss Gerpasio. Okay, ayan. So the answer is actually correct. Okay, and so if you are given this kind of problem, ayan, you need to convert the denomination that needs conversion, ayan, to the required or the desired quantity. Okay, hold on. There's an announcement in the barangay. There is an anti-rabies vaccination ongoing. Okay, so okay, so you will need to convert the denomination that needs conversion to the quantity that is desired. And so remember that an ounce, no, or a fluid ounce, and is equivalent to 8 grams. Okay. Now, I think ang ginamit na symbol ni Miss Gerpasio is the one without the F because I also mentioned this last time na when the substance is an obviously liquid, okay, we may sometimes drop the symbol of an F, okay? But when you do your calculation, sometimes it may be quite confusing, okay, if you don't put the F, no? So, pwede naman nating, oh, sorry. Ayan. So, pwede naman nating ilagay yung F, okay, to denote na what we have are fluid grams and fluid ounces. The good thing is, both yung measurement of weight and volume measurement ay pareho lang. Ang conversion factor between grams and ounce. Okay, yan. Pareho lang yan. It's the magic number. Okay, number 8. Okay, so 8 ounces, ayan, meaning the mass or the weight, are equivalent to 8 grams. Okay, yung weight or yung mass are the same as 1 ounce and same lang yon doon sa 8 fluid grams are the same as 1 fluid ounce. Okay? Ayan, so same lang naman. So it doesn't matter. Pero medyo magmamatter siya pagdating ninyo doon sa ounce papunta doon sa higher denomination. Okay? Kasi in the weight measurement, ayan, remember that 12 ounces are equivalent to a pound, okay, in the apothecary system, while yung sa ano naman, sa fluid measurement, okay, 16 fluid ounces are equivalent to a pint. Okay, and so doon sila medyo nagkakaroon ng difference, no? Ayan, so what she did is she converted the 4 fluid ounces to fluid grams, and so we have here the fluid grams, and 32 fluid grams. Ayan, so I would suggest next time when you compute, ayan, do not do simultaneous computation, no? Ayan, ilagay mo to sa baba. Ayan. So, hiwalay na ano to, hiwalay na solution. Ayan. Why? Ayan, so ganito. Ayan, hiwalay yan. Okay? Ayan, kasi um, hindi naman equal yung ano, di ba? Hindi naman equal ito, itong side na to, at saka tong side na ito. Okay? Ayan, so hindi makatotohanan yung equality doon, no? So, when you want to show your solutions, okay? I-drop nyo sa ibaba yung ano, yung next na line or next part of your solution. Okay? Ayan, so but I know na ano, baka gusto niyo lang kasi magkasya in one ano, in one line, okay? Yeah, so 32 fluid ounces plus 2.5 fluid grams pala, I mean. 32 fluid grams plus 2.5 fluid grams are equivalent to 34.5 fluid grams. Okay, so the answer is actually correct. Okay, and so I think may mga nagchat-chat, so hold on. Okay, yeah, noted. See, ang daming nadi-disconnect. Kaya inisip ko talaga hindi i-breakout session to eh. Ayan, so, um, okay. Ayan, so anyone who has a question in number 3, or is it clear? And so, put the thumbs up, raise the thumbs up or click the thumbs up button if it's okay. Ayan. Okay, so thumbs up. Okay, so thank you for that response. And so we'll move on to the next question. Ayan. So this time around, baliktad. Okay? And so you are given only one denomination, and we have 90 fluid grams, okay, which for which you are asked, no, na if you are going to use two graduates, okay, in particular, pwedeng fluid grams or fluid ounce na graduate, how would you measure 90 fluid grams, okay? So kabaliktaran siya ni number 3. Okay? So in number 3, you have two denominations. You converted into one denomination only. This time you have one denomination and you're asked to convert it into two or even more denominations, whichever is appropriate. Okay? And so anyone who would like to, yeah, so si Miss De La Cruz, ayan, siya din yata yung kanina number 2 eh. Ayan, so you may use the annotate button, ayan, in your Zoom to write your answer on the screen. And this is now the new normal, no? Ayan, you writing on the screen. Or kung hindi man, you can turn on your microphone and I can follow your, ayan, so nakapagsulat siya. Okay, so, mm, uh-huh. I like this. I like this answer. Pwede din, no? Okay, so thank you very much for that answer, Miss De La Cruz. Ayan. So, to be honest to you, this is the first time that I've seen this kind of solution, but you are also correct. Okay, ayan. So, um, taran, sana narinig yung clap ko. Ayan. Kaso feeling ko hindi niya naririnig. Ayan. Ayan. So, ayan. So, we have this, no? Ayan. So, this is the first time that I've seen this answer, but it is also correct, no? Kasi what is just being asked is to represent 90 fluid grams using two graduates. Okay, what if the pharmacist has these graduates, no, yung minims and ounce. Okay, so ganun niya measure yung kanyang liquid. Okay, and so the way that you will do this, okay, and to explain how this came out is first you will think of the closest larger denomination for which you can convert the denomination that is here in the problem. Okay? Yan. So mag-iisip ka ng pinaka malapit na malaki na denomination, okay, for which you can measure, okay, this denomination, yung 90 fluid grams. Okay? Now, if you remember, okay, if you remembered our conversion factors, ayan, so sabi natin 60 minims are equivalent to 1 fluid gram. 8 fluid grams are equivalent to 1 fluid ounce. Ayan. And we have 16 fluid ounces. Ayan. Kinulang ako. Equals 1 pint. Okay. Tapos we have 2 pints. Ayan. Equal to 1 quart. And 4 quarts equal to 1 gallon. Okay? Ayan. So, if you think about it, no? Ayan. If you will use the pint, okay, for measuring 90 fluid grams, would it be enough? Okay? Would 90 fluid grams be enough for 1 pint? Ayan. So, 1 pint is actually equivalent to 8 times 16. Okay? And 8 times 16 is actually equal to, ayan, 128 fluid grams. Okay? So, malaki siya, no? So, hindi enough yung pint, okay, for you to measure 90 fluid grams. Okay? So, you will choose the next lower, next lower denomination, and that is the ounce. Okay? Yan. So, kaya kayo napunta sa ounce. So, most definitely, hindi na yan quart or gallons kasi nga, pint pa lang, hindi na pwede. Okay? Yeah, so punta tayo doon sa fluid ounce. Okay? Now, we know that 1 fluid ounce is equivalent to 8 fluid grams. So, you will divide 90 by 8. Okay? So, you will get 11.25 fluid ounces. Okay? Ayan. So, ito yung makukuha ninyong answer. 11.25 fluid ounces. Okay? Ayan. So, what you will do is you will drop the remainder. Ayan. Ida-drop ninyo ito. Ayan. Retain the whole number. Okay? Ayan. So, that's the reason why in Miss De La Cruz answer, yung kanyang isang graduate ay fluid ounce. Okay? Ayan. And as I mentioned earlier, the fluid ounce is normally divided in 16 graduations. Okay? Yeah, meron siyang 16 divisions. Okay? So, kasha. Okay? So, meron kang 11 fluid ounces. Okay? Now, yung ginawa naman ni Miss De La Cruz is that, of course, she multiplied 11, the whole number that we got, by 8, okay, to get the equivalent number of fluid grams. Tapos, ang nakuha niya is 88 fluid grams, okay? So, yung 88 fluid grams, sinubtract niya from 90 fluid grams and that resulted in 2 fluid grams, okay? And then, ang ginawa niya, no, ayan, is she then converted grams to minims. Okay, ayan. So, remember that 60 minims are equivalent to 1 fluid gram. So, it's equivalent to 100 minims. Okay, ayan, 120 minims, I mean. And so, the answer is 11 fluid ounces and 120 minims. No? Now, there is another answer for this. And pwede rin na ayan. Kasi nga sabi ko, this is the first time that I've seen this kind of answer. Ayan. So, this is quite unique, no? For the first time in how many years I have been teaching this. So, 0.25 fluid ounces, kasi ito yung remainder, okay, doon sa whole number. You will now convert this to the next lower denomination. And the next lower denomination is fluid gram. Okay? Ayan. So, kunwari, no, yan, 0.125 fluid ounce, ayan, we know that, yan, medyo nagde-delay yung galaw ng aking pen. Okay, so 1 fluid ounce is equivalent to 8 fluid grams. Okay, ayan. So 0.25, the remainder, okay, times 8 is equal to divided by 4, 2. Okay, yeah, so 2 fluid grams. Okay, yeah, so the answer could also be 11, ayan, 11 fluid ounces and 2 fluid grams. Okay, or simply, yung kanina din, no, dito, yan, hold on, yan yung dito, and the remainder, when you multiply 8 by 11, you get 88. So you subtract 88 from 90, you get 2 fluid grams. So your answer could also be this, no? Ayan, 11 fluid ounces and 2 fluid grams. Okay, ayan. So both are considered correct. Okay, ayan. So thank you for that answer, Miss Dela Cruz. Okay. And so any questions so far? Ayan, so I guess we can continue, no? Ayan. Okay, so next, wait, hold on. Mayroon yata nag-chat. Yes, possible na may ganitong questions in the examination. Okay? Ayan, so you will be converting denominations to a singular denomination or you will expand no, a denomination to separate denominations. Okay, so there could be some problems. Yeah. So bakit 88 no? So I will go back to what we okay, sorry. Let me just go back to the previous slide. Andito pa pala yung annotation. Okay. Ayan. So, the reason why we chose 88 fluid drams, no? Kasi nga, what we did, no, is that we identified ano ba yung next na larger denomination. So remember when we say denomination, these are multiples or subdivisions in a system of measurement. Okay? Yan. So for example, you have centimeter, kilometer, ano pa ba? Inch, foot, and yard. Okay. And so the same goes with minims, fluid drams, fluid ounces, pints, and etc. etc. No. Yan. So, the first step that you will do is you have to identify the nearest larger denomination by which you can measure 90 fluid grams. Okay. Yan. So, the next larger denomination by which you can measure 90 fluid grams is fluid ounce. Okay. So, bakit fluid ounce? Kasi when we choose pint, okay, yan. So, when we choose pint, let's do that. One pint is equivalent to how many fluid drams. Okay? So, i-convert natin yung pint into fluid drams. Okay? So, to convert that to fluid drams, ang gagawin natin is we will convert first yung pint to fluid ounces. Ayan. Ayan. So, medyo mabagal ako magsulat kasi mabagal yung pick up ng aking pen. Okay? So, one pint is equivalent to, ayan, hold on, to 16 fluid ounces. Okay? And then, yung each fluid ounce, ayan, so yung nasa baba, that's fluid ounce, ay equivalent sa 8 fluid grams. Okay? Ayan. So, fluid grams yan. So, what we do is we will multiply 16 by 8. So, basically, ito lang yon. Okay? So, 8 times 16 equals 128 fluid grams. Okay? So, what does it mean? 1 pint is equivalent to 128 fluid grams. Okay? Yung liquid that we have is only 90 fluid grams. No? So, we cannot measure the liquid using a graduate that is in pints. Okay? And so doon tayo sa lower, okay, na denomination. Well, definitely hindi na yan quart or hindi na yan gallon. Okay? Kasi it will be a very, very small fraction already of quart or gallon. Okay? Ayan, so we choose the fluid ounce. Okay? So dito na lang focus. Ayan, focus tayo dito. Okay? Ayan, so next is you will divide 90 fluid grams by 8. Bakit divide 90 by 8? Ayan, so kasi hold on. And remember na meron kang 90 fluid grams. Okay? And you want to convert 90 fluid grams to fluid ounces. Okay? So gagamit tayo ng dimensional analysis. Okay? Ayan. So 8 fluid grams and are equivalent to 1 fluid ounce. Okay? That's why we divide 90 by 8. Okay? And so our answer will actually be 11 point 25 or 11 and 1/4 fluid ounces. Okay? Now remember what I mentioned before, no? The graduate, okay, the graduate that is divided in units of fluid ounces ay merong 16 divisions lamang, no? So kaya yan 16 divisions lang kasi you can only measure 1 fluid ounce, 2 fluid ounce, up to 16 fluid ounces kasi 16 fluid ounces are already equivalent to a pint. Okay? Ayan, so wala siyang point something. Okay? Ayan, so unlike your burette, okay? Ayan, so kung nakita na kayo ng burette or yung pipette ninyo, there are smaller subdivisions in between the units. Okay? Ayan, so wala tayong 0.25. Okay? So, the next thing that you will do is you will only select, okay? You will only select the whole number, okay? Yan, so 11 fluid ounces, okay? Now, doon nang galing yung 88, okay? So, ang gagawin mo is you will again multiply, you will just convert back the 11 fluid ounces to fluid grams, okay? So, remember that each fluid ounce ay equivalent to 8 fluid grams. So you will multiply 11 by 8, so you get 88. Okay? Ayan. So ngayon na meron kang 88, ayan, you will subtract that from 90, okay? And the remainder is 2 fluid grams, okay? So actually you can already stop here, no? Ayan. If you have the two graduates um which are calibrated in fluid ounces and fluid grams, okay? So your answer could be this, okay? This one. Ayan, itong nandito. Your answer could be 11 fluid ounces and 2 fluid grams. Okay? But you can go further. No? What if wala kang fluid gram na graduate? And what you have instead ay minims. Okay? So yun yung ginawa ni Ms. De La Cruz. Okay? Ayan, so she converted 2 fluid grams, the remainder, okay, doon sa minims. Okay? So that's why she got 120 minims. So her final answer is 11 fluid ounces and 120 minims. Okay? Ayan. So, was the explanation clear? Ayan. So, hold on. Yes. I-drop natin yung remainder in the meantime. But we will put it back again, okay, in a different denomination. Okay? Yeah, yeah. Puwede naman yung sagot ni may nagtanong dito. Puwede yung sagot ni Miss De La Cruz, no? Ayan. Puwede 'yun. Okey, ayan. Puwedeng-puwede siya. 'Yan, kasi what if what you have ay yung, minim, no? Ayan, kasi I did not mention, eh, which graduates you are supposed to use, okay? Ayan, kasi sometimes, yung mga smaller, na mga graduates could have this, okay? Ayan. Although I haven't really seen, a minim na ano, na conical flask, no, it's usually a dropper. Okay? Ayan, a dropper, yun yung ano, yun yung ginagamit to measure the minims, okay, before. Ayan, so I haven't seen a graduate na ano, na minims. Pero this is okay, no? Ayan, kumbaga, it's rational, okay? Ayan, so don't worry about it, no? When it comes to my examinations, ayan, I try to think um, as the student, okay? Ayan, so um, for example, wala akong pakialam, no, if for example, yung solution ko ganito but your solution is this, okay? Ayan, so I wouldn't mind kasi, as long as the answer is correct, no? As long as the answer is rational. Ayan, so who am I, no, to to say that your answer is wrong, okay? Ayan, so ganun lang naman, okay? Ayan, so I hope you were able to pick up on that. Ayan, so, okay. So let's have the next problem. Ayan. Now, the next problem is more ambiguous. Okay? Another problem of mine. No? Ayan, nakalimutan kong ilagay, specify what specifically what I wanted to do. No? Ayan. So that's why I put it in parentheses already. Ayan. So the question is, a pharmacist had 1 gallon of alcohol. At different times, he dispensed 4 fluid ounces, 2 pints, 8 fluid ounces, and 4 fluid grams of the alcohol. What volume in fluid ounces of alcohol was left? Okay, so once again, anyone who would like to volunteer to write their answer on the screen. Okay, so si Miss Redonia, ayan. Miss Redonia, you are acknowledged. Ayan, kasi you're the first one to raise your hand. Okay, so you may proceed. No, if you have something to write with, do so. No, kung wala, just tell me. You can use your microphone also. Meron. So medyo may nagka-buzz because I'm recharging the car. Okay. Um, I thank you for that answer, Miss Redonian. So I think the final answer is the one on the rightmost side, no? Ayan, ito. Ayan. Which is just an expansion. Okay, ayun na. Ayan. So, malakas na ito pa. Okay lang. Yan, nagda-buzz nga. Tanggalin ko nga. Hold on. Okay, ayan. So, is it clearer? Ang palakas yata yung echo. Okay. Ayan. Okay, so thank you for that response. Ayan, so this one is just an expansion of the answer, which is 83.5 fluid ounces or ounces. Okay, ayan. So lagyan na lang natin ang F over there. Ayan. Now, okay, so as I mentioned naman to you earlier, no, when it comes to solutions, I don't actually have one preferred solution, and but I do recommend that hold on, but ang lakas. Yeah. But I do recommend that you um, try to put units as much as possible in your solutions. Yun nga rin, do not write continuous equalities when they are not really equal. Okay? Ayan, so yung mga gano'n, no? Ayan. And kasi nga, you could have different ways of solving a problem, no? But you will still arrive at the same answer. Okay? Now, the difference will be how long will it take for you to answer using the solution that you know. Okay? And you will see in this particular problem na it really is important for you to have mastered the conversion factors and the dimensional analysis part. Okay, and which we already talked about from previous weeks. Okay, and so if I was actually looking closely at how the answer was arrived at. Okay, so medyo well, I couldn't question yung choices ni Miss Redonia, no? Yan, kasi it's her choice, okay? Yan, so medyo malayo lang yung narating, okay, ng kanyang solution, okay? So, for example, she converted gallons, ayan, so ayusin natin yung, yung unit ng gallon. Ayan, yung symbol pala, I mean, ayan, yung gallon. Ayan, so, kinonvert niya yung gallon to grams, ayan, and then, what else pa dito? Meron din dito na, I actually don't know kung anong unit ito, no? Ayan, so, this one, ayan, 8, anong 8 yun? Kinonvert niya into pints, okay? Ayan, so, pints yon tapos ito ay pints din, okay? Yeah, so I think dumaan siya sa pints and then binalik niya sa ounce and then sa kanya sinubtract, okay? Ayan, but ayan tapos nung nasa grams na siya, no? Ayan, ito na, nandito na tayo. Nung nasa grams na, ayan, so she converted it to ounces. Ayan, dito. Naging 83.5 ounces. Okay? Tapos, supposing that I ask you to show or represent the answer in two denominations, ang sagot niya finally is 83 ounces or 83 fluid ounces and 4 fluid grams. Okay? This is correct naman. Okay? This is correct, but there is a shorter way. Okay? Ayan. So, and thank you for that answer, Miss Redonia. Ayan, hold on. Um, Ayan. So, there is a shorter way, okay? Yeah, so one is just identify which ones you need to convert, okay? Yeah, so remember yung um one of the rules, okay? One of the rules ng Art of War, survey the terrain, okay? And so one so if you have already read the tips from the faculty members again about the subjects that they teach, okay? Um, one of the things that I wrote there is survey the terrain. Okay, and it's also useful when you solve problems. Okay, ayan kasi you survey the terrain, ibig sabihin, ayan, favorite ko kasi mga classic books. And so survey the terrain. Read first the problem. Okay, and try to identify how you will come up with a solution that is shorter. Okay, yan. But if hindi naman, no, there's no problem. Ayan. So, for example, you're only asked to determine how many fluid ounces of alcohol are left. Ayan. So, identify that there are already units in fluid ounces. Okay? So, you only need to convert gallon, pints, and drams, okay, to fluid ounces, okay? Ayan, so yung gallon, 1 gallon is equivalent to, ayan, remember our conversion factors. Ayan, so 16 fluid ounces are equivalent to 16 fluid ounces are equivalent to a pint, okay? And 2 pints are equivalent to a quart, okay? And 4 quarts are equivalent to a gallon, okay? So we simply multiply all those values, okay? 16 times 4 times 2, and so your answer should be equivalent to 128 fluid ounces, okay? And so we have now converted the gallon to fluid ounces. Okay? Ayan. So next is you have the pint. Okay? Ayan. So ito naman si pint. Ayan. So you will need to convert this to fluid ounces as well. Okay? So ano yung equivalent na fluid ounces ng 2 pints? Okay? Remember that a pint is equivalent to 16 fluid ounces. So this one is equal to 32. Ayan. Hindi na ako gumawa ng separate na solution na. Ayan, ginaganyan ko na lang. So 32 fluid ounces. And then finally, we have fluid grams. Okay, so you only removed or dispensed 4 fluid grams. And we know that 8 fluid grams are equivalent to a fluid ounce. So this is equivalent to only 0.5 fluid ounce. Okay? Ayan. So next that you will do is you will just subtract 120, you will just subtract the sum, okay, of all of these. And so doon sa 128 fluid ounces, which is the equivalent of a gallon. And so this is 4 fluid ounces plus 32 fluid ounces and plus 8 fluid ounces. And this one is zero point 0.5 fluid ounces. Okay, ayan. So your answer should still be 83.5 fluid ounces. Okay, ayan. So um, I will try to figure out kung anong nangyari dito sa solution na ito, no? Ayan, but you got the same final answer. Medyo naniniwala naman ako na nakarating ka ng drams. Okay, and then you simply converted drams to ounces. Okay, and so you got the correct answer anyways. Okay, ayan. Okay, so was that clear? Yeah, so whichever method you will choose to do, ayan, you will choose to do, no, it wouldn't actually, I wouldn't actually take offense, no, ayan, if you take the longer route, okay, ayan, sabi nga nila, ano, the ano daw, the path least trodden, ayan, so pwedeng yon or pwede namang yung shorter path, okay, the easier path. Ayan. So whichever you would like. Okay? Ayan. So ano lang daw. Pause lang muna. Ayan. So let it sink in. And I think Mr. Burton also was answering earlier. Yeah. So later, no, we'll see, no, what we can do about that. No, baka may iba siyang solution. And so, thank you for also responding. Ayan. Okay. Ayan. So, Miss Magtoto, are we good? Pwede na tayo gumalaw? Okay, okay. Ayan. So, if you have questions, do not hesitate to put them in the chat box or raise your hand, and I'll see if there are hands raised. Okay. Ayan. Okay. So, I remember, magkukuwento na lang muna ako, ayan, para naman hindi masyadong malungkot si Miss Redonia. When I was younger, no, in elementary, I was also asked to write my answers on the board, no. Um, this was in mathematics. Tapos, I had a very, very long solution to a simple problem. Okay, ayan. So, I actually mm, uh, uh, wrote my answers on half of the blackboard, ayan. 'Di ba elementary school blackboard, ayan. So from end to end of the room, ayan, dun sa half of the blackboard, I wrote my answers there, Ayan, tapos mismong yung ano, yung teacher ko hindi niya naintindihan yung solution ko, but I got the same answer, okay? Ayan, so from then on, okay, ganun na rin yung aking principle in life, no? Ayan, don't restrict your students, for whatever that they would like to do, no? Ayan, kasi baka ganoon nila naintindihan, 'no, ayan yung ano, yung, how to solve the problem, okay. Ayan, so kasi nga, I have encountered some teachers in my high school na kailangan ito yung solution that you follow, 'no. If you don't follow this, may deduction ka, 'no. Eh, I still got the same answer anyways, 'no, so what's wrong? Ayan, so, uh, that's why, I also do that, 'no, ayan. So, as long as you arrive at the same answer and as long as your solution is, rational, okay, as I found naman in, Miss Redonia's answer, ayan, okey lang yun, okay? Ayan, so don't worry about it. Okay, yan. So, and just to remind you din, sinabi ko rin last time that in our subsequent lessons, I will be presenting to you different ways of solving the problem. Okay, at least the ways that I recognize, okay, ayan, yung nakita ko na, ayan. So, we'll try to answer certain problems using dimensional analysis, using ratio and proportion, and also using the formula that I will be giving you, okay? Yan, kasi nga marami talagang paraan to solve a problem, okay? And so, I do recognize that, okay? The next two problems would involve interconversion between a Vodopause system and the apothecary system. Now, what do you have to remember when you do interconversion between these two systems of measurement? In common language, okay, when you ask somebody else, no, outside of the pharmacy profession, this is just the English system, okay, and so remember that the avoirdupois system and the apothecary system is simply the English system, okay, and you are correct, Mr. Burton, no, Vega. And so the only common ground, the only common unit between apothecary system and a Vodapause system is the grain. Okay, so whenever you will convert one unit, no, in a system to another unit in another system, uh, in between, no, your avodapo and apothecary system, and you need to convert these to grains first. Okay, and take note that the ounce, and so let me write it down. The ounce in the avodapo system is different doon sa ounce in the apothecary system. Okay, likewise, the pound, okay, in the avodapo system is also not the same as the pound in the apothecary system. Okay? Yeah, so magkaiba sila. Ayan. So remember as well that the avoirdupois system only has three units. Okay? So you have the grains, the avoirdupois ounce, and the avoirdupois pound. Okay? Whereas in the apothecary system, you have the grains, you have the scriples, you have the drams, you have the ounce, and you have the pound. Okay? Yan. So only the grain is common between the two. Okay? Yan. So anyone who would like to present their, ayan, so si Miss Lariosa already raised her hand. Okay, so yes, Miss Lariosa, I am acknowledging you. And you may write your answer to this problem on the board or on the slide. Okay, thank you for that answer, Miss Lariosa. No, your answer is correct. No, and so it is 2.47 ounce or 2.5. No, if your answer is 2.5 ounce or 2.5 ounce. Okay, and so this one is correct. Okay, and so the solution, yan, if it's not clear to some of you, and so what she did is first she converted yung 2 ounces to grains. Okay? Yeah, so remember the equalities, okay, that you need to know. Okay? 1 ounce, 1 apothecary ounce is equivalent to 8 grams. Okay? And 1 gram is equivalent to 3 scruples. By the way, and that this is another hint, no? Yung scruple kasi has this symbol na pabaliktad na letter E. Okay? Ayan, so madaling tandaan kasi mukha siyang 3, okay? And it's equivalent to 1 dram, okay? Yan. Now, notice na halos pareho ng symbol yung scruple at saka yung dram, okay? Yan, so please parang write this, no? Distinguish between the two, no? Ayan, yung isa ay baliktad na letter C, okay? Yan, baliktad na letter C, yan, and then may line dito, okay? That's your scruple, okay? And this is your dram. Yung dram ay parang end sign, okay? Parang ampersand, okay? Yan, so, okay, going back. Yan, so 1 gram is equivalent to 3 scruples, and 1 scruple is equivalent to 20 grains. So we have 960 grains, which is the equivalent amount of 2 ounces in the apothecary system. And then we also have here 2 drams. Okay, so she converted 2 drams and 2 grains using the same conversion factor. So the answer is 120 grains. And then since, as I mentioned earlier, this these symbols, okay, only represent on one measurement. And kahit na dalawa yung denomination niya, you will simply add these two. Okay, so 960 and 120 grains equal 1080 grains. Okay. Now that we have the grain, okay, remember that 1 avoidable ounce is equivalent to 437.5 grains. So we simply divide 1080 grains by 437.5 grains, or we do the dimensional analysis. So we get an answer that is approximately 2.5 or 2.5 avoidable ounce. Okay? Ayan. So was that clear? Yan, so thank you, Miss Lariosa, no? Actually, maganda yung solution niya as well. Yan, because talagang clearly lined up, no, yung ano. This is also another good ano bang example, no? Yan, if you will be answering let's say the quizzes or the examinations, it's better to have easily comprehensible na solutions. Even though I don't require you to submit your solutions, okay, at least if you have clear solutions, it's easier to go back, no? And kung hindi mo nakita yung iyong answer or if you got a mistake, no? Ayan, so it's easier for you to trace back your solution. Okay? Ayan. So yun, natutunan ko na lang yan nung high school, no? Na dapat magsulat ka ng maayos na solution. Okay? Ayan. Okay, so next we have this. Hold on. Yeah, so anyone who would like to volunteer to answer this item. And so I guess si Mr. Ayan, okay. So si Mr. Vega na. Okay, so thank you. Ayan, so kindly write your answer on the screen. Ay, nabura. Okay. Mm. And so hold on, Mr. Vega. Um, yung mga units that we have here are units for weight or mass. Okay, and so you may have been confused. Medyo volume measurements yung nakasulat, yeah, from pint ayan onwards. Okay, ayan. So what you can do is convert the 7 grams to grains. Ayan. Convert the 7 grams and the 7 grams, the 7 apothecary grams to grains, and then afterwards convert the grains that you will get to avodo per ounce, or yan kasi ang tinatanong naman pala is how many grains, and so you can convert the avodo per ounce to grains as well. Okay, yan, so ulitin ko yung sinabi ko, no, so convert the grams, okay, to grains, and then remember what is the equivalent number of grains of one avodo per ounce. Okay, kasi according to the problem, you have taken out 7 grams of the chemical from um, from an original one avodo per ounce of the chemical. Okay, and so just convert both of these measurements to grains. Okay. Yes, that's correct. Now, and now there's a shorter way. Ayan. So you can just convert one avodo per ounce to, yeah, pwede rin yan. Okay. Okay. And finally, ayan, since you're asked to determine how many grains of the chemical are left. Okay. So yun yung tinatanong. How many may kulang pa, may kulang pang step. How many grains of the chemical are left? Correct. Okay, thank you for that answer. Okay. Ayan. So, ayan. So, continue natin, no? Kunwari, tinuloy ninyo yung dito sa part na ito, no? Ayan. Um, let's what Mr. Vega just did is that he converted yung 7 grams to grains, and then yung equivalent number of grains were converted to avodo per ounce. Okay. Now, because the original amount of the substance is 1 avodo per ounce, you will subtract 0.96 from 1 avodo per ounce. You will get the avoirdupois ounce, okay, that is remaining when you take the chemical from it, okay? And then you will again use this conversion factor to convert the avoirdupois ounce to grains, okay? Pwede rin naman na ganon, okay? But that is the longer cut, okay? So there is a shortcut. Yeah, so tama itong part nito, no? So you determine first the equivalent number of grains of 7 grams, okay? And then we know that 1 avodo per ounce is equivalent to 437.5 grains. Okay? Since you took out 420 grains of the chemical from it, Just subtract 420 from 437.5 grains. So our final answer is 17.5 grains. Okay, and so this one is correct. Ayan. So thank you for those who answered. Ayan. Okay, so ayan. So any other question? And so thank you so much. Okay, so we will continue with our discussion. This time around, we'll tackle the metric system. Okay, so let me check lang. Okay, yeah, sakto lang yun. So as we all know, and move na tayo no sa metric system. As we all know that the metric system arose because of the French Revolution. So it was formulated in France in the late 18th century during the Age of Enlightenment because scientists sought a way to standardize measurements so that these will be based on science. No, their basis will be scientific. Okay, not based on tradition. They should not be controlled by any person, no? Any of the ruling class. Okay. Now, in the United States, it was legalized in 1866, and by the Act of Congress in 1893, it became their, and so sorry for that, kasi this came from your book, their legal standard of measure, and all other systems are referred to it for official comparison. Okay. Now, even though the metric system was already legalized in the United States in the late 1800s, okay, or in the 19th century, the United States still makes use of the English system, okay, which is pretty weird. Well, the reason is that it's more complicated if they will be changing most of the measurements that they have right now. Okay, so for example, if they will be changing their temperature 2 degrees Celsius, if they will be changing their speed limits to kilometers per hour, they will have to change their speedometers also, etc., etc. Okay, yeah. So because of those difficulties, they remain to be one of the few countries who which have not used the metric system widely. Okay, Philippines included. Okay, so the metric system is popular in many countries because of these two reasons. Okay, we have the two reasons are its simplicity because of the decimal system of notation and because of convenience. Okay, now what do we mean by this? No, the simplicity and the convenience. It is very simple because to be able to denote or express the denominations in the metric system, we simply use prefixes. Okay, we have prefixes for subdivisions and for multiples of the basic unit. Okay, for example, if the measurement is a tenth of a meter, okay, then we call it a decimeter. Okay, if it is a hundredth of a meter, then we call it centimeter. If it is a thousandth of a meter, then we call it a millimeter. Now, if it is a multiple of a meter, okay, let's say if it is 1,000 of a meter, we call it a kilometer. If it is 1 million times of the basic unit, let's say meter, ayan, so we call it mega, no? Ayan, so we use the prefix mega, no? Ayan, so it's easy to remember the different denominations in the metric system because of the use of the decimal system of notation and the prefixes, okay? It is also more convenient to interconvert between units, okay, from one denomination to the next. Okay, and so it's a lot easier. Okay, so for example, it's easy for you to convert millimeter to the basic unit, which is meter. It is also easy for you to convert the centimeter to the millimeter. Okay, because you simply have to either divide or multiply the numerical value by any power of 10. Okay, and so it's pretty convenient compared to the English system. Okay, now we know that the English system, wala pa pala sa next slide. We know that in the English system, we have conversion factors or the numerical values in the conversion factors are difficult to remember because they are not related to each other. Okay? For example, a mile is 1,760 yards. Okay? And then 3 feet are equivalent to a yard and 12 inches are equivalent to a foot. Okay? Kaya so walang relasyon sa isa't isa, yung 1,760, yung 3, yung 12, at saka yun, no? Those conversion factors are not related to each other. Similarly, you have seen this no, in the apothecary and the avoidable system. Okay, those values, those conversion factors, don't appear to have any relation to each other. Okay, and so it's very difficult to remember their conversion factors. Okay, in the metric system, it's easier to remember because all of these are in powers of 10. We make use of the decimal system. Now, I found this on the web, and so there is a mnemonic now for you to remember the prefixes commonly used um, in the metric system. Okay, so from kilo to milli, ayan, so sabi dito, King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. And so K stands for kilo, H for hecto, D for deca, U is the basic unit, D, another D is deci, then we have centi and we have milli. Okay? Now you may wonder, sir, may dalawang D. Okay? And so may dalawang D. Anong parang ang hirap naman nun. This is the reason why I don't usually memorize mnemonics, no? Kasi nalilito ako even with the words, no, that I will parang correlate the mnemonic with. Okay? Ayan. So, one way for you to remember this is that remember in the Latin language, okay, the letter C is always a K. Okay? Yeah. So basically, if we read this using the Latin language, ayan, so this is the key. Okay? Not the C. Okay? Kaya na so ito deka. Okay? Ayan. So madali lang malaman, no? Medyo related sila sa isa't isa. Deci is 10 to the negative 1. Okay? Yeah, so meaning to say if the unit is a tenth of the basic unit, while deca is 10 to the positive 1 or times 10 of the basic unit. Okay? Yeah, so yun yung relasyon nilang dalawa. Now, it's easy to interconvert between units. Okay, so for example, if we would like to convert, let's say, 1 kilogram to grams. Okay, yan. So, sige, gawin na natin milligrams. Okay, gagawin natin siyang milligrams. Ayan. You simply have to move the decimal place either left or right. Okay? Yeah. So remember that if you will be converting a unit, okay, from a larger denomination to a smaller denomination, and kasi nga yung kilogram ay larger denomination than the milligram, you will move the decimal place, okay, to the right. Ayan. Okay, so my pause is me thinking kung which one is the left and the right. Okay, and so that's another thing about me. Aside from me not having a good memory, okay, not being able to do mental arithmetic. Another thing is that I cannot identify which one is left and which one is right. Okay, so I think that's right. No, ayan. So right. So you will move the decimal place to the right. Okay, by the number of um, divisions. Okay, to get to milligrams. Okay, so we know that 1 kilogram is basically, and hold on. Hello? And so I think you can hear me, right? Okay, so I have to transfer my microphone um, to the other jack of the laptop. Okay. Ayan. So going back. Ayan. So thank you for that answer, Miss Valdez. Okay. And so the answer is 1,000, 1 million, I mean, milligrams. Okay. So remember that these prefixes, okay, actually stand for um, the meaning, no? Ayan, so may ibig sabihin yan, no? Stand for something, okay? They stand for the exponent or the power of 10, okay? By which you will multiply the basic unit, okay? So the kilo is basically 10 to the 3 of a gram, okay? So it's 10 to the 3 of a gram, okay? And the milli is 10 to the negative 3 of a gram, okay? Ayan, so what you will do is you will basically divide this by this. Okay? Ayan, so i-divide mo siya, yung 10 to the 10 to the positive 3 divided by 10 to the negative 3, okay? To get the multiplier, okay? For the numerical value that you have in the larger denomination. Okay? And so 10 to the 3 divided by 10 to the negative 3 is equal to 10 to the 6. Okay, so remember your maths. Ayan, 3 minus 3 is equal to 10 to the 6. Okay, ayan, so you will now multiply this 1 times 10 to the 6 of a milligram is equivalent to 1 kilogram, or this is the same as 1 million milligrams. Okay? And so yan yung kagandahan, okay, of the metric system. Okay? It's easy to interconvert one unit to another by just knowing the meaning of the prefixes, okay, that you have. Of course, there's another way for you to do this, and you can do dimensional analysis to be able to convert kilogram to milligrams. And for example, 1 kilogram, you will convert this first to grams. Okay, so 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 grams, or 10 to the 3 of a gram. Okay, and then we also know that 10 to the negative 3 of a gram is equivalent to 1 milligram. Okay? So, dyan ang galing yon. Okay? So, let me replace this. Ayan. Gawin natin 10 to the 3. Okay? Ayan. So, this one actually came from dimensional analysis of this one. Okay? Yeah, so 10 to the 3 divided by 10 to the negative 3 is the same as this one, the one that you will put in dimensional analysis. Okay? So 1 kilogram times 10 to the 3 of a gram, or 1,000 grams per kilogram, times 1 milligram is 10 to the negative 3 of a gram, or 0.001, 0.0123. Ayan. 1, 2, 3. Ayan, 0.01 gram. Okay, so this is equal to 1 times 10 to the 6, or 1 million milligrams. Okay, and so what you will do is basically the decimal place is moved from left to right. Okay, yan. So ginagalaw ninyo yung decimal place to the right. Okay, when you convert a unit from a larger denomination to a smaller denomination. Okay? Wala na pala akong sound. Hold on. Ayan, naririnig niyo na ako. Wala na to. Okay, ayan. Whew, techie problems. Okay, so thank you for giving me that response. No, ayan. So let me just repeat what I mentioned. And so basically, what I am showing you here is that if you will be converting one unit, okay, ayan, in the metric system to another unit, ayan, from a smaller denomination to a larger denomination, you will basically be moving the decimal place to the left. Okay, ayan. So we know that a kilogram is 1,000 of the basic unit, which is the gram. So a kilogram is basically 10 to the 3 of a gram. So what you will be doing is you will just be moving the decimal place 3 times to the left. Okay, yan. So yung number na nandito, yun yung number of times that you will move the decimal place. Okay, yan. So the answer is 0.001 kilogram. Okay, yeah. So that's how easy it is to interconvert between units in the metric system. That's why we say that it is popular due to its convenience and simplicity. Ayan. So unlike your English system, which we already mentioned before, no, na the conversion factors are actually unrelated to each other. Okay, and just like this, no, you really have to memorize all of these. Okay. Now, here are some important equivalents which I would like you to somehow be familiar with. Okay, kasi even though I will not be asking you to memorize this, in fact, in your examinations, even in your quizzes, okay, you will be having your notes, your index cards, okay, like I promised to you, okay. I hope by this time you already have written in your index cards the conversion factors, which I asked you to write, okay, at the start of this learning module, okay, kasi it will help in the familiarity, okay, of these conversion factors, okay. Um, the more that you use your index cards, the easier it gets, okay, and to answer problems kasi you know where to look for. Okay, for certain conversion factors. Okay, well, you don't have to memorize all of those. In fact, I will only ask you to be familiar with some of these conversion factors. Okay, in particular, here we have the inch. Okay, just remember that an inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. Okay. Now, if you get confused which one has the conversion factor 2.54, yeah, just remember that length the length of the first joint of your pinky finger is almost equal to 1 centimeter. Okay. And so halos equivalent yan to 1 centimeter. And yung joint, yung first joint mo in the thumb, ayan, ito na lang, and that is almost equal to an inch. Okay? Now, we know that the centimeter is much smaller than the inch, so you need more centimeters to get to an inch. Okay, so 2.54 centimeters are actually equivalent to an inch. Okay, of course, it will be different if you have bigger appendages or longer appendages. Okay, ayan, so kapag mas mahaba yung mga daliri mo, no, ayan, baka hindi pareho, no, but it's approximately the same, no. In fact, I do that most of the time, no. When I measure things, okay, I use my thumb, ayan, so to measure in inches, or I measure my pinky finger, ayan, yung first joint, ayan, yun yung ginagamit ko to measure in centimeters. Okay, ayan, so that's just a way, no, for you to approximate measurements. Okay, so just remember that. Now, you don't have to remember this, no? Kasi you can just convert, okay, yung meter, okay, to yung centimeter to meter. Okay? Yeah, madali lang naman 'yon. So we know na 1 meter is equivalent to 100 centimeters. Okay? And we also know that 2.54 centimeters are equivalent to 1 inch. Okay? So 100 divided by 2.54, that should be almost equal to 39.37 inches. Okay? So dyan ang galing yung conversion factor for the meter and the inch. Okay? So no need for you to remember that. Okay? Ito naman, in the equivalence of volume, which one is the most useful? Yan, this one is the most useful. Okay? A fluid ounce, okay, is equivalent to 29.57 milliliters. Remember what I mentioned last time, okay? I mentioned last time that a tablespoonful is actually equivalent to 4 fluid grams. Okay? Now, 4 fluid grams are equivalent to 1/2 of the fluid ounce. Right? Yan kasi 8 fluid grams are equivalent to 1 fluid ounce. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, the conversion of tablespoon to milliliters is 29.57 milliliters divided by 2. O that's almost equal to 15 milliliters. Okay? Yan. Para lang din madaling tandaan. Okay? So remember na a tablespoonful is 15 milliliters and it is half of a fluid ounce. Okay? So multiply it by 2, you have now the equivalent of the fluid ounce, which is 29.57 milliliters. Okay? Yeah, so just remember this magic number. Okay? Now, you don't have to remember these, no? 1 pint, 1 quart, 1 gallon, because you simply have to multiply 29.57 milliliters by 16 to get 473, or by 32 to get 946, or 128 to get 3,785. Now, saan ang galing itong mga values na ito? These came from the apothecary fluid measurements. Okay? Doon lang sila nanggaling. Remember that 16 fluid ounces are equivalent to a pint, and then 2 pints are equivalent to a quart. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 16 times 2, 32 fluid ounces are equivalent to a quart. And then, remember na 4 quarts are equivalent to gallon. Okay? So, doon din ang galing yun. 32 times 4, you get 128 fluid ounces. Okay? So no need to memorize this kasi repetitive na yon. Okay? And this is another thing that you need to remember. Okay? That we have a different US gallon and UK gallon. Okay? The US gallon is also the most common gallon. It is the English gallon. Okay? Ayan. Weird, no? Ayan. So, it is equivalent to approximately 3.8 liters, okay, or 3,785 milliliters, while the UK gallon is different, no? It is 4,545 milliliters, okay? Take note that by default, no, if it is not stated whether the gallon is in US units or in UK units, ayan, US unit tayo. Okay, yan. So US unit, yun yung English system. Pag sinabing imperial system, yun yung parang equivalent of the metric system. Okay? Yan. So basically the same as the UK system. That's the imperial system. Okay? Ayan. So ang labo kasi UK people are English people, pero hindi yun yung English gallon. The US gallon is the English gallon. Okay? Ayan. So that's by default the gallon that we use. Okay? Very rarely do we have the imperial gallon or the UK gallon. And then lastly, I will ask you to be familiar with this. No, 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. And this is very useful. Okay, especially when you convert your own weight. Okay, ayan, from pounds to kilograms or kilograms to pounds. Okay, ayan, so just remember 2.2 pounds are equivalent to a kilogram. Now, I won't ask you to remember this kasi again, it's redundant. Okay? Ayan, kasi 1 pound, ayan, um, oops, sorry, mali yung aking symbol. So 1 pound, ayan, 1 pound, ayan, 1 pound is how many, ayan, ilan ba siyang avoirdupois Ayan. One pound is, kunwari, i-convert natin siya in, ba't ako nag, grams, okay? Ayan, so remember that 2.2, ayan, pounds are equivalent to a kilogram, okay? And then we know that 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 grams, okay? So mabagal lang magsulat yung aking pen. Ayan, so this is kilogram, this is 2.2. Ayan, so 1,000 divided by 2.2 is equal to 454.54. Yan, may bar kasi paulit-ulit yan of a gram. Okay, so doon lang din naman ang galing yan. So no need for you to memorize that. Just remember 2.2 pounds. Okay, yan. You're good to go. Next is over here in this table, which you can find in the appendix part of your textbook. It's almost the same. Yan, nandito pa rin yan. And nandito pa rin yung 29.57. Andito pa rin yung 454 and yung 2.2 kilograms. Okay, somewhere there. Aside from those, these are also some of the important equivalents which I will ask you to at least be familiar with. Ito, no? The minim. Okay? So, 1 minim is equivalent to 0.06 of a milliliter. Okay? Ayan, so 0.06 of a milliliter or that's equivalent to 60 microliters. Okay? So, 60 microliters. That's the equivalent of a minim. Okay? Remember what I mentioned last time? It used to be that 1 minim is the same as a drop. Okay? But certain factors affect the volume of the drop, okay, such as the orifice, the size of the orifice of the dropper, the viscosity of the liquid, and the surface tension of the liquid, both of which can be affected by the temperature where you measure the liquid, okay, and so pwedeng magbago-bago talaga iyon, okay, and so just remember na um, 1 minim is about 60 microliters or 0.06 of an ml. Another thing, and ito, andito yung isa pa pala. Another thing that I will ask you to remember is the grain. Okay? Ayan. Kasi lahat ng yan, pwede mong i-convert. No? Ito lang yung mga hindi mo na mako-convert. Okay? Wala na silang basis. Okay? Ayan. So, 65 milligrams. Okay? 65 milligrams are equivalent to a grain. Okay? Ayan. So, 0.065 of a gram or 65 milligrams are equivalent to a grain. Some medications are still expressed in, using the symbol grain, okay? In particular, yung phenobarbital, yung aspirin, yung ferrous sulfate tablets, no? Those are still expressed sometimes in grains by older physicians. That's why you need to be familiar with those, okay? All the rest, lahat ng mga nakita ninyo dito na mga conversion factors, those are easily convertible, okay? Just a side note, ayan, this one, yung 1 fluid dram, okay, remember that in the common household measurements, a teaspoonful is the same as a fluid dram. Okay? Now, a fluid dram is actually equivalent to 3.69 ayan, of the milliliter. Okay? But in common household measurement, ayan, a teaspoonful is approximately equal to 5 milliliters. Okay? So, tuwing sinasabi na natin ngayon na take 1 teaspoonful of the medication, we simply mean to say take 5 milliliters of the medication. Okay? We very rarely use yung fluid dram equivalent. Okay? Hindi na natin madalas ginagamit itong 3.69 milliliters, which is the equivalent amount of a teaspoonful. Okay? Yeah, so remember that a teaspoonful is 5 milliliters and a tablespoonful is 15 milliliters. Okay? Yan, so yun yung mga important common household measurements that you have to be familiar with. Okay? And so I know that it is already time, and so we will be having some of the exercises and which are applications of conversion between systems of measurement next time. Dahil dyan, i-move ko yung quiz nyo. Aha, okay. And so we'll have, yeah. We'll have your quiz after our class next week. Okay? Ayan, so kasi nga hindi tayo umabot dun sa examples eh. Ayan, so and also next week, we will be having additional topics like the aliquot method of weighing and measuring and the least quantity method of weighing and measuring. Ayan, and we'll already discuss specific gravity, density, and specific volume. And if we still have time, we'll discuss alligation. Okay? Ayan, so um, we have a lot next week. Hopefully, uh, well, whatever we finish, we will finish. Okay. And so, uh, if you already have a copy of the slides, ayan, I believe I already put the problem sets, the questions in the problem sets in your slides. No, you may practice on them, or you may try to answer the practice problems in your textbook. Ayan, if you already have your textbooks with you, ayan, yeah. I will have your quiz. No, I'll reset it to next week. Okay? Yan. So yung quiz kasi na magiging quiz natin will cover all the interconversions between systems of measurement, which are applications of dimensional analysis and ratio and proportion. Tapos, you have 1 week naman to answer. Okay? And so we'll have it next week. Okay? So I will just change the schedule of the quiz. Okay? And anyway, it has not opened yet. Ayan. Okay, so are there any questions so far? Yeah, okay. So for the long distance shipping, unfortunately, we haven't updated yet, okay, yung aming list. Okay? So please bear with us. We'll send you a message as soon as possible. Okay? And so I have already asked Ma'am Vanya to summarize the list that we have now. Okay? Ayan. Yes, I think somebody raised their
Opo.
hand. Yes, okay, Miss
Um,
Valdez.
Bale, hindi po klaro. So, iba pa po yung quiz natin next week doon po sa nakapost sa LMS. So, yun na po yun.
Yun na yun. Okay,
Yun
i-move
na
ko
po
siya.
yun. Sige, thank you
Yes.
po.
Kasi 'di ba mag-open pa lang siya on today at 1 p.m. sana, no? But I will be moving it. Okay? Kasi nga some of the items there would need you to would need us to have a discussion on interconversion of units. Okay? So I'll just move it. Yan, para hindi naman masyadong toxic. Ayan. Okay, yan. Kasi baka may mga questions pa kayo in mind. Okay? Yeah, so it will not open until next week. Okay, so I'll just change it. Okay, so I guess that will be it. No, so thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you again next week. Okay, so have a nice lunch ahead. Okay, bye, everyone. Thank you. Araw.